Happy Wednesday, and what a Wednesday it is. The sun is out here. It's actually getting a little cooler. I gotta love that. Fall weather is here, even in South Florida, fall weather is here. It's getting a little bit cooler. If you're wondering what you're watching, hey, it's time for the Imperfect Action live stream. Why do I call it the Imperfect Action live stream? Because you know what? I've seen too many people that say they just got to wait for the perfect time to do something with their life, and they wait and they wait and they wait and they never do anything with their life. I just say, just take the imperfect action. That's the best action to take. Don't worry about what happens. Don't, you know what? Just do it. Well, who am I? I'm a former corporate burnout survivor turned king builder. Rob Fenstermaker is my name. And I want to empower you to get out of the rut. I want to see you live that life that you thought was not possible. I want to see your dreams become your reality and ignite your soul on fire so you can become that great person you're ready to be. Hey, just a couple things I got going on this Friday. Next installment of the Virtual Friday Whiskey Hour. We hold this together every other Friday. Hey, I'm flying to LA. That's where I'm going to do this remote from Los Angeles this coming Friday. And, some people say, I don't drink whiskey. Hey, there's no requirement to drink whiskey. Just show up, enjoy the conversation. Our most recent conversation we had, hey, we talked about how this is such a screwed up world. And sometimes we can't think we can change the world. But you know what? We have it within us to change our world. And if everybody embrace that idea, think what a great place it would be. But again, no requirement to drink whiskey. Just show up, enjoy the conversation. Hey, if you want to drink a beer, if you want to drink a glass of wine, if you want to drink water, I don't care. Just show up. Hey, after the new year, I'm getting ready to launch a new thing, Beyond the Provider, redefining manhood, because I want to empower men to become better husbands to their wife and more impactful children's or fathers to their children. Because you know what, men? You got to lead your family, and it starts with men. It starts with men. That's where it really starts with. And, it's time for men to step up and become that leader they want to be. But enough about that. Here we are for the Imperfect Action live stream, and it's my opportunity to introduce my guest today, Joe Kavanagh. He's been in sales for over 40 years. He's bought and sold many businesses. He's been in the entrepreneurial space for many years. At this point in his life, like me, he's ready to give back. He's ready to give back and empower that next generation so they don't make the same mistakes that we've all made. And I'm going to do the same. I want to empower that next generation, not make those same mistakes that I've made. I know I've certainly made my share of mistakes. But Joe, I appreciate you coming on the Imperfect Action live stream. What amazing things are going on in your world today?
Well, Rob, first of all, I'm honored to be a guest on your show. So thank you for having me. And I mean, that introduction, sign me up. Whatever it is you're doing, I'm ready. You sold me.
Yeah, I was sharing with you before we got on here. I'm in South Florida, Venice, Florida, which is just south of Sarasota. And if you watched the news at all last week, you saw there was a hurricane that came through Sarasota, came ashore at Siesta Key, which is probably just about 8 miles up the road. So I've been dealing with that. I'm past it, but man, that those storms just wear you out. Getting ready for them, and then the aftermath, they just wear you out. But you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the thing with life. Life is going to happen. Life is going to happen. No one is immune from that reality. Life is going to happen. And how you deal with it just speaks volumes, just speaks volumes to who you are and what your foundation in life is.
Yeah. And I go by the belief that life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I agree.
every problem I look at as an opportunity.
Yeah.
So what can I learn? If something goes wrong, what can I learn from this? How can I be better next time? How can I improve my life? How can I help others improve?
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that. Life is a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen a lot of people, they don't want to try anything for fear of failure.
Yeah.
But you fail. So what? I mean, you actually learn more about yourself in times of failure than you do in times of success. I
Absolutely.
believe that to be the case.
And a good friend of mine, she uses a phrase that I like to share, and she said I could. When you get when you get upset over something, turn that around and make it a setup.
Oh, I like it.
I love that. So in other words, look at the glass full. I don't go half full. I go full because it's half full of water and half full of air.
Yeah. I also just say I look at it that it's overflowing because if a glass is completely full, just keep pouring it in.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the definition of abundance. You keep letting it flow in, and it overflows. And that abundance we create in our lives when we serve others with out of abundance, what comes back to us can be tenfold.
Oh, well, that's an
what the opportunity
understatement.
of life. Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
understatement there.
Yeah.
And I do love that analogy of the half water and half air, because we have our glass are full or overflowing. We don't necessarily see all the benefits or see all the assets we have, but they're there.
Yeah. And I also believe there's I don't believe in circumstances. I believe things happen for a reason. Things
Absolutely.
happen for a reason. And we can put ourselves in situation either good or bad. I think our choices dictate, what's going to happen. I did, 15 years of youth work, and I'd always preach to these kids, 12 to 13, 14-year olds. Your choices have consequences.
Mm.
Start making the right choices. Choose wisely. Because even our good choices, there's a consequence. There's a good consequence. And you start making enough of those right choices, the consequences get much better. And it continues to follow us through in life. And I see too many, what I call grown ass adults, that they're just commiserating that life's against me. Well, if you kind of reverse engineer it and you look at all the stupid choices they've made in life, it's no wonder they're where they're at. It's no wonder they're sitting on the couch all night, binge watching the next Netflix series with a Costco-sized bag of potato chips while they're 85 pounds overweight, and they just say, "That's just who I am."
Oh yeah, yeah. That hits a nerve with me as well. So yeah, you got to get out there and do it. And like you say, it better. What is it? Done is better than perfect.
That's it.
And I know so
Exactly.
many
Exactly.
people that they've got talent, they've got something to share with the world, but they wait until they got it right. And I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
I was that way
Yeah.
too. And then
Yeah.
finally, I was convinced done is better than right. And
Yeah.
I just said, screw that. I'm going to start doing it. And if people don't
Yeah.
like it, they're going to tell me, right? And I found I was received 10 times or 100 times better than I thought I would be, because I was a bit of an ass growing up. I was a run you over type businessman. And I didn't
Yeah.
care because I was making more money than you. But
Yeah.
life, things happen in life, and that corrects you pretty quickly when those things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That done better than perfect. It reminds me of a story of my life. This is when I was in the Army, and I was an Army officer candidate school. And they just screw with you. The TAC officers are just screwing with you to make certain you really want to do it. I can't
Mhm.
remember what I did that day, but one of the TAC officers, says 500-word essay due on my desk, 0700 tomorrow about whatever. So I'm trying to write this perfectly, and I wasn't done. And the next day, he's like, "Hey, 1,000 words," and he just kept adding 2,000. And I finally just said, "All right." I realized all he wanted me to do was just do it and hand it to him. It wasn't perfect. I just started writing gibberish, but I got something done and got to him. And then that was it. But sometimes you just got to do it. Sometimes we just got to just do the gibberish in our lives and just figure it out from there.
And you know what's interesting about that? I thought of that as you were speaking. Sounded like he was just trying to get you to journal. How many people preach that, journaling is very helpful for you?
Oh, it
It
is.
gets the bad ideas out of your head so you can
Yeah.
dispose of them, and it leaves you room to replace that with good ideas.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was one that I didn't like reading books. I did what do you call the Cliff Notes? If people remember that, I'm dating myself now. And
I definitely did those in college. Yes,
oh
I
yeah,
definitely did
I
those.
I
Took
did
a
them all
couple of
my
literature
life.
classes in college. I just buy the Cliff Notes.
But yeah, I was never one to journal or anything like that. I just thought it was a diary, and I didn't want people to find my diary. And plus,
Yeah.
it would have all this bad stuff I did. And I've learned though that it's therapy. It gets that out of you.
Oh, it is.
You carry
There's
these
something
thoughts.
powerful.
Yeah,
To me, there's something powerful about a pen and a piece of paper. There's just and it's documented. Psychologists will document. There's an energy that's created there. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of journaling. I have done it for probably 25 years. I've saved every moleskin I've ever journaled with.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
my wife says, "Can we get rid of these?" I'm like, "No, you're not touching those things. You're not touching those things. They're on the bookshelf." And some people have asked, "Why have you not written a book?" Well, my book's right there. I just got to sit down at some point, just go through all these journals, and there's my book. Every great author, that's how they write their books. They just whatever. They're always writing ideas down.
And
Always
see that
writing ideas down.
that's what I need to do. Everybody keeps telling me I should write a book as well, and I'm like, it seems like in the last 8 to 10 months, I'm getting pounded by different angles about writing a book, and I'm like, I wouldn't know where to begin. And people say, oh, yeah, don't worry about that. That's the easy part, you know? So I got that. But my problem was where I didn't journal, I learned the hard way through mistakes I made. And I
Yeah.
made a lot of mistakes and pissed off a lot of people. We were
Yeah.
talking about this before the show. It's like, you know, when I was growing up, I apparently had a natural propensity for sales because
Mhm.
even in high school, my friends would tell me, says, Joe, you should be a salesman. I mean, you just have this way of convincing people to do whatever you're talking about. And it took me a while to get through that. But then finally, when I was young, I was in my 20s. I was working a job where you punch the clock, had to be told where to go, what to do, and can't go home till it's done. And I'm like, God, I want a life of my own. This
Yeah.
is, I don't want to be working for the man all my life. So at
Yeah.
29 years old, we uprooted. I grew up in the Boston area. We uprooted from Boston, moved to Maine, 3 hours north,
Mhm.
and bought a campground. Now, I was a truck driver. I didn't know how to run a campground. We loved to camp. So we thought, hey, it'd be great to own a campground. And I figured, well, if somebody else did it, I can do it. So we took a chance. I had a 10-month-old son, our firstborn, had just bought our first house the year before. We sold it, moved to Maine. Everybody thought we were nuts. Turned out to be the best thing I ever did. That was
Yeah.
my start of my journey of entrepreneurship, thinking and working for myself instead of
Yeah.
not needing to think and just doing the rote stuff for other people and making them money.
Yeah.
And it just worked out beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to do those actions. You know, yeah, last Saturday was my wife and I's 33rd anniversary, and we moved to Florida 2.5 years ago. And you know, we had a house up in. We moved from Ohio. We had a house in Ohio that we raised our two children in,
Yep.
and we just decided one day, hey, we're going to sell this house. So we got it ready. House sold in literally 12 hours. We had 6 weeks to get out. We had zero plans of what we were going to do. No plans.
Sounds familiar.
And eventually we made our way down here to Venice, Florida. But sometimes you just kind of, I just, I've always kind of been a little bit of the fly by the seat of your pants type guy. And, and sometimes that does serve you well.
Yes.
So with the career in sales, I know one of the things that is most vital is building those connections so you can create that opportunity for someone to buy whatever it is you're trying to sell.
Mhm.
And as you've gone through this, what are ways that you've understood how to connect effectively?
All right. So just a little background on that. I've been in real estate for nearly 40 years now. That's when I stop and
Yeah.
think about it, kind of amazes me. And I live in the Charleston, South Carolina area right now. And we have about 8,000 real estate agents. And I
Mhm.
was in the top 10% of those agents, very successful. But I still didn't, I thought I could do more, do better. As
Yeah.
luck would have it, back in 2019, my wife and I went to an event, National Achievers Conference, I wanted her to go see Tony Robbins live because he was there. I had seen him
Yeah.
before and I loved him. So we went, and all these speakers got up and selling their wares and their products and whatnot. And this one lady got up and she started talking about this methodology that you can see the acronym after my name in that order, but
Mhm.
it's actually known as BANK: Blueprint, Action, Nurturing, and Knowledge. And it's the 4 basic personality types. And she was advertising and selling this as a sales tool, close more sales in less
Mhm.
time. My wife liked it because she also talked about improved communication, relationships, things like that, and the world can get along better. And that's my wife. She wants everybody to be happy. And so we both decided to look into it deeper. We did. We loved it. We became certified trainers. So now I put it to the test: close more sales in less time. So I started using it on all my listing appointments in real estate. And the industry average on your first appointment is about 20 to 22% closing rate. I was closing at 37%. So I knew I was near the top of the industry already.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
less than a year implementing this particular tool, that went from 37% to 86%.
Okay.
I was blown away. And I said, okay, I've got something I can use and I can train others in it. Then, so close more sales in less time. So in 2022, and I've been urged by a ton of people that I should be coaching and training and mentoring with all my experience and expertise and my great personality. That was thrown in once in a while. And so I said, okay, I'm going to need more time for this. Close more sales in less time. I thought, let's put it to the test. So in 2023, I purposely worked half as much time in real estate as I had in 2022 because I wanted to devote time to get my coaching business going. And not only did I sell the same amount, I actually sold nearly $1 million more volume in real estate.
Okay.
I was actually blown away. I didn't know that I could do that. And what the beauty of that is it gave me half my life back. So I could spend more time with my beautiful wife. I could be with the children and grandchildren, travel the world, do what I want to do. And so that's one of the tools that I use heavily in my training and coaching. What it does is you can figure out somebody's value system and their personality tendencies in less than 90 seconds. Okay. And I had never heard of anything that could do that before. So that's why I put it to the test, and it works so beautifully. Not only what it does is people think differently, they perceive information differently. Done a lot of NLP training. I'm a certified coach in that as well. And people delete, distort, and generalize information based on their value system and their personality style. For example, I'm more of a visual learner. I know a lot of people that are kinesthetic learners, that they think things through, or they hear things, or they smell things, whatever the senses are. And you and I can walk out of the same meeting, same corporate board meeting, and have two completely different takes on it. And it could be just that we interpret things different. Our personalities are different. So what I learned was coming at people in my own personality all the time. That's why I wasn't signing everybody. And technically, you only have about 25% chance of getting that signature because that's how many times you relate to the same type of person. Charlie Group did a survey, said that only 18% of people will work with people that do not align with their values and personality versus 82% that will. So obviously, all the data points to this and backs it up. And I can tell you firsthand that it works because I proved it. So I've incorporated a lot of this training into my coaching and training and had fantastic results. And not just real estate or sales, it can be relationships. We've seen it save marriages. I was involved in a case where it prevented a gentleman committing suicide. And he admitted it, that it made a difference because I understood how he thought and I connected with him the way he wanted to communicate, not the way I communicate to him. So it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. And as you're building those relationships, especially in the sales process, or just in general. I mean, relationships doesn't have to be sales, like you mentioned. It can be your family, your friends. I've always told my children when they were growing up that if you want friends, you need to be a friend. Simple as that.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yes. Absolutely.
And sometimes people forget that. That you got.
Well, here's the thing too, that especially today, sales is not a numbers game. It's a people game. And you got to build that relationship because let's face it, all sales are relationships. I'm listing your house for sale. We're in a relationship. We're going to work together to accomplish a goal. Yeah. So when you look at it like that, it's extremely important.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask a question this way. So you understand, you know, the buttons are, but not a better way to put it, the buttons to push on somebody that you're going to build that connection. And let's say it's just the exact opposite of who you are. But are you able to kind of get in that space to really kind of push their buttons of what you need to do?
Perfect. Great question. Perfect example of that. When I talked about increasing my closing rate so much.
Yeah.
I went back and looked at the type of people I was dealing with and not closing. And when you look at the combination that I have next to my name, I'm an action guy first, then nurturing. I love to help people. That B, which is blueprint, that's your planning, systems, organization, take things step by step, being risk adverse. I could have thrown that card away. I don't plan anything. I don't like to do anything. Everything's spur of the moment, off the top of my head, whatever. And those were the people that I was missing because they couldn't take my aggressive, opportunistic attitude They wanted something risk adverse. Somebody's going to hold their hand and walk them through one step at a time, and don't skip any steps. Because if you go from 1 to 2 to 5 to 6, they're like, wait a minute, what happened to 3 and 4? We're still back here, right? Wait for us. So once that happened, I went in, and the way it's so simple to do, I just hand them these 4 cards and ask them to look at the information on them. They each have a set of values. And then split the cards in order of which one sounds most like them on top down to least like them on the bottom. And based on that being their top card, I know that I have to say, whoa, put the brakes on, Joe. Don't be just like cut to the chase, bottom line. You're going to make this much money. Let's get going. Sign right here. These people want you to walk them through step by step. Great example that changed this for me. I had a listing, and this was when I first started doing this. I had cracked their codes. They were both high blueprint. And I had an offer. This is before we started getting into COVID and all these multiple offers and over asking prices, pretty much unheard of. I got an offer that it was a $600,000 house, and they came in at $615,000. First offer. And I called the agent. I said, you realize you asked more than the list price? And she goes, yep, we've already missed 2 houses, and we're not going to miss this one. Like, okay, fair game. I'm all for it. I thought this is a piece of cake. It was a Tuesday evening. Told my wife, says, I got to go over and get this contract signed. I'll be back in a half an hour. Well, I'll cook the steaks on the grill. We'll have dinner. I went over there, and the first thing I started saying, here's the main terms. All I got to do is initial here, 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 and sign here, and it's done, right? Let's do it. And they're like, whoa, wait a minute. What does this section say, section 1? Well, section 1 just identifies who the buyer and the seller is, right? Well, what is section 2? Well, that describes the property, right? There are 28 sections on 9 pages in our contract. Do you think I was out of there in 15 minutes? So what I did was I said, oh, that's right. Their blueprint. I got to walk them through. So I just took a deep breath and said, okay, we're having steaks tomorrow night. And I went through the whole contract with them. And I probably shouldn't disclose this with all my experience, but I think it's the first time I've read every word in the contract. And I did. I had to read everything and interpret it. But I got the deal. And then they referred me to somebody else. I got another deal. Just think about that, the referrals down going forward. Oh, you broke up.
I'm sorry. Instead of handing somebody, can you hear me?
It's very choppy.
Okay, all right. I'm getting a little lateral through here. So that may be what it is. So instead of handing somebody those cards, or maybe the open-ended question you might be able to ask, which they
Rob, sorry, but I'm not getting what you're saying. It's barely coming through.
All right. Okay. All right, hold on a second. Can you hear me now?
I wonder if it's a loose connection in your headset.
No,
or
it's
something.
just like I said, some other roll through around. I could hear with the internet. Hear me? You hear me now?
It's just like every 5th syllable. Still doing it. Actually, try that.
Okay. Well, what I was asking is a certain question you could ask somebody to really fit on hand them the card, to have them answer the open-ended questions to figure out are they an entity.
I'm not getting enough of what you're trying to say. I'm sorry. That your speaker's not working or something, your mic.
No, it's all right. Good gracious.
It's when you move a certain way, I think. So that's why I'm wondering if there's a loose connection.
No, I think good.
When you lean in a little bit, lean in and talk.
You go. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, still. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I hear you fine. I hear you fine.
Okay, I got you. You hear me fine. And I'm trying to think of where we just left off with that. But
well, you were talking about the cards, okay? You're talking about the cards. You hand somebody the cards, you have them in order of who they are. What I was asking, are there open-ended questions you might be able to ask someone?
Oh, the questions I asked?
Oh, open-ended questions, handing them cards. What kind of open-ended questions one asks to help identify, what these four categories they might fall in?
I'm trying to do some lip reading there, but you said something about what kind of questions that they ask me, or
Well, no. What kind of questions would you ask them? Open-ended questions would you ask of them to
ah,
figure out, which of these four categories they fall into?
oh, I got you. Okay, so you did start coming in smoothly there, so I don't know what changed, but well,
Yeah.
the easiest way to know who they are and how to communicate with them is to present the cards to them. Okay, that takes less than
Right.
90 seconds for them to sort. If
Right.
I didn't have that opportunity, say a live networking event, for example, which I do once I take them out
Mhm.
there, everybody's like, hey, what's this magic trick you got? So everybody lines up and wants their code cracked. But let's say we just met casually somewhere and we started talking. I can listen to words that you're using, phrases that you're using. And also, you cannot not communicate. In other words, your verbal express or your facial expressions, your movements. The old classic one was people like this, they're closed off, they're not listening to you. Well, I know for a fact that I do that because it's comfortable on my back because I have
Mhm.
back issues. All right. I have a good friend of
Yeah.
mine, he's the same way. He's a very intelligent guy and he learns this way. This is how he listens. But people are like looking off or looking for somebody else to talk to. You don't have their attention. But if you want to understand how they think, sure, you can ask them a leading question. If you when you go on your vacation, are you happy to sit around a fire and read a book, or you want to be out on the slopes and going down that hill as fast as you can on the ski slope?
Yeah. Okay.
If you want to
Yeah.
get on that hill or go down as fast as you can, like I do, you're probably an action type personality. So I'm going to keep
Mhm.
things brief, exciting, cut to the chase. Don't give you a lot of detail and BS and all that stuff. Um, a lot of people, especially on the knowledge people, they tend to be the smartest people in the room. And they're pretty obvious. They start talking with words that I don't think I've ever used before, you know. And luckily I knew Latin in school, so I could figure it out by the roots and things like that. But and then you'll get my wife is high in nurturing. These are just the
Yeah.
kindest people. They'd rather share things with you than charge you for it. They give things away free. You give them a box, they're going to repurpose it and resend it, regift it, and all that. And but as far as open-ended questions, the simplest one is especially if you're not sure where they're going with, I just say fascinating. Tell me more.
Okay. Okay.
And usually people open right up. The other thing too is if you connect with them right away. When I've done cold calling in this real estate sales, I don't do it anymore, but I used to do it. And all agents do in the beginning. When you're talking to somebody you've never met before, you don't even know who they are, and say, "Hey, Rob, I'm Joe Kavanagh at XYZ Real Estate." Most people are almost ready to hang up. And said, "I know what you're thinking. Give me a second. If you don't like what I'm saying, we'll hang up and the call," right? Usually people will at least hear you out. I'll say, I want to know if you can help me. I'm looking for somebody that's talked about possibly listing their home within the next year or so. Do you know
Mhm.
anybody like that? Now, 90% of people want to help you. So you ask it like that initially, that at least holds them on the phone.
Yeah.
Then they start talking. So, oh no, 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 I'm not. I've moved here. I've lived here for 20 years, and I'm planning on being taken out in a box and all that. Good chance they're a blueprint type person. They don't like change.
Right.
Whereas if they're in action, they'd be saying, you know what, I've been in this house 4 or 5 years. I've been looking at these homes online. I think I'd like one with an in-ground pool on the golf course. So yeah, I have thought about making a change. So you can start to pick up on these tendencies and the way they think, and it's easy
Yeah.
to interpret it. And the beauty
Yeah.
is you got all these personality methodologies out there. This is nothing new, but it's reverse engineered. So now I know who you are instead of who I am. And that's the
Okay.
key.
And sometimes we need to empty ourselves and, move past our ego, move beyond our ego to
Yes.
really create that deep connection with other people. Just get out. I like to say, just get out of your own way. Um,
Yes.
and I know you were kind of sharing a little bit with me about you getting beyond your ego, and how once you figured that out, in what ways did you see a change in your life and how you were able to build those connections and things that maybe just started changing and for you for the better.
Yeah. And without going into the long version, when I was in sales when I was younger, I was good at it, actually good at it.
Yeah.
And I was all about how much money can I make? And I didn't care if I burnt you or whatever, as long as you signed that paperwork and I got my commission.
Yeah.
Then the market crashed, the real estate market in 2008. And pretty much everything I had worked for and built up over the years, I had a very successful business going. It was pretty much all gone after that. Not only that, but I ended up losing my house. And I did have the house with the swimming pool on the golf course at the country club. So I thought I had made it. Lost everything, including my marriage of 37 years. That eventually dissolved, which that was the beginning of the end. And here I am with nothing after all I'd done. Built it up, lost it all. And like, God, there's got to be something else to this. And I didn't know any better at the time. I'd never really invested in myself, never hired coaches, never got counseling, didn't do the journaling, all that. And as luck would have it, I met my current wife almost 10 years ago. And she, early on, she says to me, I know what's stopping you from being successful. I says, oh, you do you? I said, you know so much, tell me, right? She said, if you really want to be successful, you have to be who you are at your essence, the real you, not the you that you're being because you think everybody likes that version of you. In other words, I was trying to be the person I thought everybody else wanted me to be because I wanted to be loved. I mean, who doesn't? And I really have found from talking to people, especially men, which I love that you're doing men's group work with men's group, because we have been suppressed in that way. We can't express our emotions anytime we feel like the women can. And at least that's my belief. And I think it's probably
right.
a very popular belief. And so what happened was when she told me that, ended up going to this group meditation, which I'd never done before. And without going into details, I came out of there feeling, you know what? I think if I am my true self, there may be something to this. So I just became me. I changed as a person. I got testimony from my daughter. They'll tell you, who is this man? You're not the man that brought me up. And I have a son-in-law who met my daughter right after I started changing. And when he hears my ex-wife and some of my other family members talk about, oh, Joe was this, Joe was that, and he goes, that's not the guy I know. So literally, I changed almost 180 degrees in my outlook on life. I was the road rage guy. That was me. I'm sure I cut you off back in the day at some point or another and flipped you the bird and called you all kinds of names. And now it's like, yeah, come on in. I'll let you in. I'll let you in and do my good deed for the day. So it's a mindset change. And once I did that, all of a sudden things just started falling into my lap. And it was so easy to make connections. People were calling me because they want to work with me. I wasn't having to go after them. So, and I was just being me. I was just being a nice guy. I was in putting compassion into my work. And I was checking my ego at the door. And that's what I've given talks. And I was out in Vegas earlier this year. And that's exactly what I gave a talk at. It was beyond ego, cultivating compassion into the sales cycle. And that was the whole problem. I was driven by my ego before. How much money can I make? I'm better than you. I can do this better than everybody else. To, hey, I hope, Rob, that you do better than I do. That means we're both successful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we've all come across those, salesmen. You think of the used car lot. You think of the classic used car salesman. He's just going to run roughshod over you.
Yeah.
And going to say that car. I'm not saying it's
throw them under the car, but it's true.
Yeah. And yes, I agree. If I'm going on a car lot, I'm probably going on a car lot because I got to, I probably want, thinking about buying a car. But just because I'm on that car lot doesn't mean I want to buy your car. I'm a bit of a more prudent buyer that I'm going to, maybe look at a few different models to figure out what's the best fit for me. But I've also okay, I've gotten used to this type of model. This is what I want to buy. But if you go there and you run roughshod over me, I'm just going to be like, hey man, talk to the hand. I'm done. I don't want to deal with you.
Exactly.
I don't want to deal with you.
Way. You got to make that connection. You got to relate. It's relatability.
Yeah. And so Why is it more salespeople don't understand this?
You know, I get asked that a lot. And my answer, I know how I answer that now, is because they don't understand like this methodology and how to really communicate with people properly.
Yeah.
Again, it's that conditioning. We were conditioned to act a certain way. When you're trained as a salesperson, they teach you to do these things and go by this script and all that. And a lot of
Yeah.
that is just, I don't know if it's just people are sick of it or what it is, or it's just, it's not as effective anymore. It's much
Yeah.
more effective if you connect with them and establish a relationship. Like I said earlier,
Yeah.
people work with people they like, no matter
Yeah.
what they say.
I just think I think of some of the business colleges, and do they teach? I think it's almost as if psychology, at least one or two semesters of psychology,
Yes.
especially when you get into sales, should be almost mandatory. Should be
Yes.
mandatory almost. I would think.
Yeah. There's no, I don't know of any teaching out there that teaches how to relate to people
Yeah.
in a college. And
Yeah.
it's interesting mentioned colleges. The creator of this methodology that we're talking about here, Bank, she was actually asked to go speak at Harvard at a graduate level business course.
Hmm.
So she presented it there. So that tells you something. There's some credibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. We don't communicate. We don't relate. You see it today especially in the political realm, when
Yeah.
people have their views one side or the other. And if you're not with them, then they automatically hate you. Well, what happened to
Yeah.
the days where we can respect each other? We have different
Well, I agree.
opinions. Go with it.
I am. Yeah, we can no longer have a healthy debate. If you disagree with me, I must destroy you.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
doesn't end well. It doesn't end well for a society.
No.
And you know what? I'm to the point that I am sick of politics. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. I think most people are. I am.
do I have my political opinions? Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I don't want to share them. And I've had clients that I know probably are very diametrically politically opposed to what I believe. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care. I can find that common ground. It's funny. I was on a call yesterday. I'm just got invited to this call where someone was leading it about network marketing or email
Okay.
marketing. I'm like, okay, I've got my email list. I'll whatever. This might be worth my while. And about two-thirds of the way in, he mentioned, you got to include some political commentary on all your emails. I'm thinking,
What?
whoa, 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 whoa. And I push back hard. I'm like, why would you do that? Because if you do that, you've automatically alienated half of your potential clients.
Hmm.
And he poo-pooed it and he says, well, that's your opinion. I shot back, yes, it's my opinion, and my opinion is right. And I challenged him again with the statement. I always go to the statement Michael Jordan made when back in the 80s when people got upset that he wasn't supporting Democrat candidates, and he said, hey, Republicans buy sneakers too. He got it. He understood.
Exactly.
He
Yes.
understood.
Yep.
And and
That
this
that to me
yeah, and
sounds anti proactive. I mean, I don't know how to
yeah,
word that. Why would you put
I
that
just
in
I
there?
don't get
That's
I
asking people to
didn't
hate
get it
you.
at all.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. And he was
I
even
got
sharing his email.
I
He
got
was sharing his
people.
email with all his political commentary and then his business stuff. I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm not gonna lie. I got
okay,
people, friends on Facebook that I really like. I like them a lot. I follow them and things.
yeah,
And then they start interjecting these political things about one side or not the other.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm out. If you're gonna do that, I'm dropping you. I just
I'm the
keep it
same
to
way.
yourself.
I'm the same way. Keep it to
You know?
yourself. I mean, like I said, our political opinions are like armpits. We all have them, and they all stink. So just keep it to
Heard it
yourself.
slightly
I
different,
don't
but
want.
yeah,
Well, there's a different body orifice there,
keep it
but I didn't
family
want to go ahead and
oriented here.
mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I think we know what that one is. So
I'll tell you
the
something
armpits is
interesting.
a little more family friendly. So
Yeah, there you go. I'll tell you something too. I'm Irish. I was born in Ireland. I left there when I was
yeah.
a baby. Thought he'd kick me out when I was a
Okay.
baby. And we go over every year and stay with my cousin in Dublin. And in Ireland, especially, and I probably in a lot of countries, but they love to talk politics. They just love to hear what your opinions are. They don't get mad
Yeah.
at you. They just love to
Yeah.
discuss it. And when we
Yeah.
get on a call, my wife and I are at opposite sides politically,
Yeah.
and we just don't talk about it. That's all. You do your thing, I'll do my thing. We cancel each other out, whatever. And we get on calls. We call them on WhatsApp, and almost the first thing he wants to bring that up. He says, so I see, what's going, blah, 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 right? I'm like, ixnay, we don't talk about it. And now when I get over there and him and I go out for a pint, oh yeah, we'll open right up, and there'll be some of his mates there, and we'll have a nice chat. You hear all kinds of angles, which you can actually learn from if people would just listen to each other.
I agree. I mean, I know we're neck deep in election cycle. I'm going to be honest. I have paid literally zero attention to it. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I think both of these candidates, I'll be honest, are horrible. Mm-hmm. I think they're both horrible. And if people are hanging their hat that one of these two are going to save you, I'm sorry, you're a fool. You're a fool.
And along that same line,
you're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, the whole country is horrible that way. And the only way I believe we're going to fix this is when we as people just start getting along and respecting each other.
It's exactly. I heard a news story or read a news story a couple of weeks ago about Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan. They were, political enemies.
Yeah.
Political enemies, but once a month they got together for a steak dinner.
Yeah, they'd shake hands when they're done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've heard the same.
And we can't do that anymore. If I hear people say, I can't go to Thanksgiving dinner because Uncle Larry's going to be there and he believes blah. I'm just like, good God, people, get over it. Get over it. But you know what? That's not, but
to bring this back to relationships, even in a marriage, I think you and I touched on this a little bit earlier. Even in a marriage, like your spouse does things that kind of irritate you. Like, why does she keep doing that? What doesn't she know that bugs me? But when you understand each other and learn their personality types and the differences in those personality types, which we do in our deep training, then you can say, okay, I know why she does that. For example, my wife is definitely low in action. I'm high in action. Yeah. It's a beautiful Friday, 6:00. It's in Charleston. We have great weather most of the time. Right now, it's perfect out, for my opinion. And it's been a great, successful week. And I'll say, you know what? Why don't we go sit on this rooftop restaurant and dine out tonight and watch the sunset and all that? And she goes, no, I'm not ready for that. I said, what do you mean not ready for it? What do you got to do? Put some clothes on, right? No, you got to tell me ahead of time because I got to wash my hair and I got to make sure I got something to wear. And like me, I just throw on a shirt and go, So those are differences that initially it used to irritate me. So why don't you want to go out? You're missing a beautiful night. It's going to be a nice sunset. And cause a little aggravation. Then when we learned this methodology and we started understanding, that's why she needs to plan things ahead of time. So the joke is that I've got to ask her on Wednesday, hey, if Friday's a good evening, do you think you might want to go out with me? She go, okay, I can wash my hair tomorrow and plan something to wear. And okay, cool.
In a lot of ways, my wife's that same way. So I'm a little more fly by the seat of your pants. Sometimes it drives her crazy.
Yeah, you and I very similar.
And sometimes she wants to, I want to do something, and she's just like, I don't want to. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, she'd rather sit in and watch Netflix and have a pizza or something. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But we both find that media that middle ground where we can do things and enjoy time with each other.
Yeah.
And I also know the things that she likes to do that maybe I'm not so crazy about, and I'll let her. You go do it. I just go do your thing. I'll stay back here and hang out with the dog.
Just had that happen in August. I had a chance through a client of mine to go on what they call a fitness retreat. Now it was up in Banff in Canada, in the Rocky Mountains. That's been on my bucket list to go see that area because here in the Canadian Rockies blew away the American Rockies, and I've been out to Colorado and Arizona and whatnot. And I thought, man, this is a great opportunity. And the price was fabulous because the exchange rate is a killer up there. It's bad for them, good for us. And it's like $1.40 Canadian for $1 US.
Yeah.
So anyway, knock 25% off whatever they charge, and that's what the American price is. So I said, we can't afford not to go. You want to go with me? And she goes, what about this do you think is going to interest me? Because it was mountain climbing one day. It was bicycling through the mountains another day. And it was paddleboarding on a glacial lake the third day. Right. And I said, but it's so beautiful up there and everything. She goes, I don't like doing any of that physical activity that you like. I'd rather sit around and read a book, and I could stay home and do that and save us some money. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, if that's
That's
what you
cool.
want to do. She
Yeah.
says, you want to go, go. And I said, I'm going. It's a spontaneous. It's an opportunity. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's me. So we did,
Yeah.
and it worked out beautiful for both of us.
Yeah. That's a Banff. I've heard amazing things about that.
Oh, it's
So,
incredible. We were in Canmore and Banff in that area, and I was blown away. I loved it. I'm going back next year for sure.
okay. That's
So,
very cool. That's very cool. So, yeah, that's cool. Well, hey, I have really enjoyed this conversation. Now, if people want to reach out to you and learn more, is this the best way for them to get in contact with you?
yeah, that's our coaching. C and J. It's Cindy and Joe. Cindy is my wife, so
Okay.
it's C and J Coaching at Gmail. And I think you also have my my cell phone there that they can reach out. I
Yeah.
answer it if possible, but if obviously if I'm on a call or in a meeting, I can't. But I will get back to you. I'm very good about that. You can
Okay.
call or text, and I mean, reach out. Just have a we call a discovery call. Let's get to know each
Mhm.
other, and if we like each other, want to work together, and I got something that'll help you, and likewise, I love a win-win-win situation.
Oh,
So
absolutely. And I love connecting with people. One of the things that has always served me well, I'm always curious about people. I'm just curious about, I like to say, what makes people tick. What is it about them that, their special sauce or whatever it is. And I'm just
mhm.
always that curiosity has always been something that's there for me, which I think is something that, it's kind of served me well with this, third career that I'm on right now that has served me well because curiosity, curiosity didn't kill the cat. Curiosity can take you places. And when you're curious, you want to learn more. And to me, every day is an opportunity to learn something new. And I've learned something new today. Our conversation today, I have definitely learned something new. So as we're kind of coming up against it here, do you have any parting shots or parting wisdom that you would like to share?
Yeah, a couple of taglines I use frequently, and I may have already said it on the show, is when we have differences, keep in mind, don't get mad at that person because it may not be personal. It's just personality.
Yeah.
And when you can learn to understand the differences in personality, it makes it so much more fun. And I can obviously help with that because that's what I help train and coach and whatnot. And the other one is, I would say, listen to relate, not to respond.
Yeah. I call it active listening. Is
Yes,
you'll see people that they hear something and all they're thinking of, oh, I got to say this, got to say this, got to say this, got to say this, and they miss 5 minutes of what somebody was saying because they wanted to say this. Don't forget what this is.
I get introduced to you, and then I ask you a question, and then you're answering it, and I'm thinking of the next question. Then I'm thinking, what was his name? Oh, I forget. I got to figure out how to ask it again. And he does. It
That's
isn't
it.
obvious,
That's
right?
it.
So we're
Because
just
I
waiting for you to finish so we can respond instead of listening.
right.
Too late.
And to circle back to building relationships, I think the greatest gift we can give someone is to really listen to what they said. Just
Yes,
listen.
absolutely,
Just listen. So, but hey,
100%.
Joe, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Um, hey, and again, this coming Friday, the virtual Friday whiskey hour. Hey, stop on by. Who
I'll
knows what
be
we're going to
there.
talk
Send me the
about?
link.
Yes, but yeah. So just go ahead and stop on by. If you need information, reach out to me. I'll get that link to you. Go ahead and register and stop on by after the new year. Beyond the Provider, redefining manhood. I'd love to have a conversation about that with you as well. But enough about that. Hey, it's been a fantastic conversation today. I appreciate everybody stopping by to check out the Imperfect Action live stream. Hey, let's make this a great day and be imperfect, everyone. Peace out.